Hey there, welcome to Pulse of the People, where real voices get heard. We dive deep, speak boldly, and break down social and political issues from the people's point of view, raw, honest, and unfiltered. Okay, let's unpack this. What happens when a former president visits a country he's accused of taking bribes from, and how does a gold-plated jet even enter the picture? Let's dive into a recent trip by former President Donald Trump to Saudi Arabia. It's got everyone talking and definitely raising some eyebrows. We've got some interesting material here, including discussions and clips from a recent YouTube breakdown. And our mission today is really to get to the heart of what happened. We're focusing on these claims of gifts, the potential for, conflicts of interest, and just the different angles people are coming at this from.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it, how a trip like this can just become such a flashpoint. So we're looking first at the arrival in Riyadh, former President Trump meeting with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, MBS. The YouTube video we're drawing from, it paints a picture of Trump seeming, a bit disoriented. It describes him as confused, even says he was glitching out, apparently walking the wrong way, needing some guidance.
Right, that description definitely sets a certain tone immediately.
And the video goes further. It claims Trump receives bribes and major gifts from MBS and other Middle Eastern countries. It basically characterizes the whole visit as humiliating for the United States.
Yeah, humiliating is a strong word right off the bat. And the video apparently doubles down on that.
It does. It includes a clip where, Trump appears to be struggling to stay awake, maybe not fully tracking the events. And the video's interpretation, again, more perceived embarrassment for the U.S. on the world stage.
It's always tricky interpreting someone's state from short video clips, isn't it?
Absolutely. Context is key. But the source uses these moments, these visuals, to really bolster its overall critical narrative of the trip.
Okay, switching gears slightly. The video also brought up something interesting about Saudi Arabia and a Palestinian state. It mentioned MBS reportedly talking about the need for a resolution on that issue.
Yeah, and it contrasted that with observations, from before October 7th. So it raises the question, has MBS's position actually changed? Or is it maybe just the way he's framing it publicly now, given everything that's happened?
That's a really good point. Is it a real policy shift or more like a tactical adjustment in diplomatic language?
Exactly. Any change in rhetoric from a key player like MBS, especially after October 7th, is definitely something people are watching closely.
Okay, then the video moves on to something that, really caught my attention, this alleged gift.
Yeah.
A $400 million jet from Qatar.
Oh, yeah. That one definitely made waves.
Apparently, according to the video we're looking at, this was even talked about on Fox News. And the details mentioned are just wild.
Gold-plated walls, gold-plated toilet bowls. I think even gold-plated beds were mentioned.
Gold. Everything. And the video, it deliberately contrasts that, doesn't it?
It does, very deliberately. It lays out all this extreme luxury, the gold jet, and then immediately pivots to talk about, average Americans struggling, people having trouble buying groceries, living paycheck to paycheck. That contrast is really central to the video's critique.
Right. And the video doesn't mince words, does it? It calls this Trump giving Americans the middle finger.
Pretty blunt language, yeah.
And it seems this Qatari jet caused some unease, even beyond the usual critics. The video highlights a Fox News segment where there were concerns.
That's right. Concerns reportedly voiced by Democrats, but also some Republicans, that this could look like, or actually be, a bribe.
Which brings us to the legal side of things. The emoluments clause.
Exactly. That's the constitutional provision that's really relevant here. It's meant to prevent foreign influence by restricting government officials from accepting gifts from foreign states without Congress's okay. So the discussion, as presented in the video, suggests this jet raises serious questions under that clause. Possible legal challenges on Capitol Hill.
And the video mentioned Trump's defense. Something about golf.
Yeah, apparently he used a golf analogy. If they give the putt, pick up the putt and walk away. Kind of like take the easy win.
But the counter-argument highlighted is that the emoluments clause makes this fundamentally different, right? It's not a casual game.
Precisely. The Constitution sets specific rules for these kinds of interactions with foreign powers, specifically to avoid even the appearance of improper influence. Trump's analogy doesn't really engage with that legal framework.
Now, the video also had some less than flattering things to say about Trump's team on the trip.
Yes, it referred to the entourage as a band of morons and specifically pointed out Pete Hegseth, saying he looked particularly perturbed in Saudi Arabia.
Okay, so quite pointed commentary there, reflecting the overall critical tone.
definitely part of the video's broader portrayal of the trip, focusing on individual reactions within the group.
And then there was the visual of Donald Trump saluting Saudi military officials.
Right. And the video pairs that image with some pretty biting sarcasm. It brings up Trump's alleged past comments calling American veterans suckers and losers, suggesting hypocrisy in saluting Saudi soldiers after that.
That's a powerful juxtaposition, clearly meant to provoke a strong reaction about respect for the military.
Absolutely. Highlighting what the source sees as a major contradiction.
The video also referenced a political cartoon, didn't it?
Yes, one depicting Trump on a plane labeled Qatar Force One, or maybe GRIF Force One.
And the message behind that.
Essentially, contrasting Trump accepting this incredibly luxurious jet with the perception that he's telling ordinary Americans they need to lie with less or tighten their belts.
Cartoons can be so effective at distilling that kind of critique into one image.
They really can. It links the personal gain or perceived gain directly to the economic situation of others.
What I also found interesting was the video digging up that old tweet from Trump himself back in 2012.
Oh, right. The one questioning how many illegal foreign donations Obama might collect.
Exactly. And the video contrasts that with the argument that Trump's current actions, like accepting this jet, are sometimes just shrugged off by parts of the media as just Donald being Donald.
Yeah, the source uses Trump's own words from the past to argue there's maybe a double standard in how these things are covered now compared to, say, scrutiny Obama faced.
Okay, let's talk about the financial claims laid out in the video. These were pretty significant.
They were. The video alleges that the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund, that's basically a huge state-owned investment fund, gave Trump billions.
Billions from the Saudis, the $400 million jet from Qatar. What else?
And involvement from the Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund with Trump's crypto company. Apparently, one of his crypto ventures is about to go public.
Wow. And the claim is the Abu Dhabi fund is actually using Trump's Bitcoin.
That's what the video asserts, yeah, using it in their transactions.
Yeah.
So you've got allegations involving multiple Middle Eastern state funds and substantial amounts of money potentially flowing towards Trump's interests.
Those are serious allegations involving huge sums and these powerful state-controlled entities. Raises a lot of questions.
Definitely. The kind of claims about sovereign wealth funds and potential financial ties that would likely attract a lot of scrutiny.
Now, on the flip side, the video mentioned how some on the right reacted.
Yeah, it pointed to some Meiji influencers, specifically naming Benny Johnson, who apparently reacted positively to things like, well, like a mobile McDonald's that was reportedly set up for Trump in Saudi Arabia.
Mobile McDonald's.
And also reacted positively to the Qatari jet itself.
And the video contrasts that with
what the source frames as the needs of average Americans, you know, basic things like affordable housing, healthcare. It really highlights the starkly different ways this trip and its optics were viewed.
It really shows that divide, doesn't it? What one side sees as maybe perks or respect, the other sees as totally out of touch.
Exactly.
The video also connected this to Trump's tax plan, right? Claiming it would impact the debt.
It did. It claimed the plan would mean raising the debt ceiling by at least $4 trillion and add significantly to the deficit. And it included that common political accusation that some Republicans create fiscal problems and then sort of blame Democrats when they try to fix them.
So linking the perception of extravagance on the trip to these bigger fiscal policy debates.
Right, broadening the critique beyond just the trip itself.
Now let's get back to the jet defense. The video included a clip of Republican Congressman Ryan Zink on CNN.
Yes, defending the Qatari jet. His initial argument as presented was that it's not really a personal gift. He framed it as more of a government-to-government thing, and even suggested it might end up in the Trump presidential library eventually.
Trying to put it in a different context, maybe head off those emoluments clause concerns.
That seems to be the idea, yeah. Framing it as protocol or for historical preservation.
But the interviewer pushed back on the ethics and the Constitution.
They did. Zinke apparently mentioned that Pam Bondi had reviewed the legalities, and then he made that comment about President Trump being a billionaire businessman from New York, you know, someone accustomed to luxury.
Implying maybe the scale of the gift isn't as big a deal for him.
That seemed to be the implication. He also brought up Trump's past issues with Boeing over the cost of the new Air Force One.
Interesting. But the video also pointed out that not everyone on Trump's side was happy about the jet, mentioning Laura Loomer and Ben Shapiro.
That's right. It noted that some allies reportedly voiced opposition to the gift, which suggests the ethical questions aren't just falling along purely partisan lines.
Good point. It shows the issue resonated more broadly. And finally, the video wrapped up with footage of Saudi F-15s escorting Air Force One.
Yes, escorting the plane into Riyadh. And the commentary layered over it was, again, quite sarcastic, questioning if this is what America First looks like, especially juxtaposed against the message that many Americans are struggling economically.
Using that powerful visual of foreign military escorting the U.S. presidential plane to land its final critique.
Exactly, suggesting a disconnect between the optics of the trip and the priorities and the realities back home.
Okay, so to quickly recap this deep dive, we've looked at former President Trump's recent trip to Saudi Arabia, mainly through the lens of a critical YouTube video. We've covered the scene on arrival, the concerns about his demeanor, the discussion around a Palestinian state,
the huge controversy around the alleged $400 million Qatari jet, the gold plating, the emoluments clause questions.
the reactions from different sides, the financial allegations involving sovereign wealth funds, Congressman Zink's defense.
And those closing visuals like the F-15 escort, it really touched on a lot of different facets.
You certainly did. A lot to process there.
So, as you, our listeners, think about all this information we've unpacked, maybe consider, what does this situation tell us about that tricky intersection of personal interests, political power, and international relations? And maybe, what responsibility do we as citizens have to really scrutinize these kinds of interactions?
Definitely some important questions to ponder. Thanks for tuning in to Pulse of the People. If you found value, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Catch you in the next episode where your voice always matters.